Hello, South Africa. I'll breathe you in for a minute. I can't believe I'm here. I believe in why I'm here, but I've dreamt my whole life to come to Africa. But before we get started, my name is Roy Choi. I rep Los Angeles, California. But before we get into all of that, I wanted to do a little exercise with you and bring you into my world a little bit, because the world that I live in is a bit of a dream world. And it's a bit of a dream world where we turn the unbelievable into the believable and turn the idealistic into the realistic in a way. And as you watch this, then think of it as a meditation maybe, and that way when I talk to you, you may understand some of the shit I tell you. All right, so.
From the time I ride out to the time I'm home, I pray for a safe travel guide while I'm gone.
Overstanders versus overseers, overseas to over here. Classic overachiever, holding class for non-believers. Hold your pass and will call, biggest giants will fall. Lightning bolt your ear like LT, but this ain't football. Mid-city magic, it's parades after the rat race. Wreck the Grand Marshals buffet until they stack plates. Sparking martial arts, heavy metal on the podium. Head spinning like Caesar, no cardboard or linoleum. Breaking history out the freezer, finding future where the seeds are. Roll with Jesus types, knowing these lights can cause a seizure. Downtown skyline, till the place shifted. Big brain, teaser scriptures, moving major motion pictures. Put the night to sleep, then I rise and wake the morning up. Study the Queen, Calafia, California. Sprinkle holy water, blessed oil anointed. Some rap to spit, some would say a circle is pointless. Live from LA River Drive, where some are happy enough to know they're getting by, where some are at the very lowest when they're getting high, and others try to wake them up and open up their eyes. Where the cold streets are warming up, put the night to sleep. When I rise, wake the morning up. Put the night to sleep. When I rise, wake the morning up.
From the time I ride out to the time I'm home, I pray for a safe travel guide while I'm gone. Yeah, they watch our moves, every step becomes the cinema. With cameras in the street lights, the city life, I live it up. Only my notable moments are here for quoting. The rest are over. Gone with the wind, it's like the coldest blowing. But fuck it, the pen's in motion like my Venice Ocean. Like my city done switched up, but I'm still devoted. I ride the coping out, my reputation spoke about a west side of killing till I'm paid in full and bills are folded. Damn, it's nothing new. Like this, the cutting room floor. Picking up a scrap or two less and break the rules more. So who's up for being up to something? Used to being nothing. Used to be confused, but ain't no future in your front. And times as hard as fuck, like back then when the Carter struck. I'm talking new Jack and not a new rapper, some artists look. I've been different from the coast to the Pacific. This shit is scripted, just directors with the vision. What?
Live from LA River Drive, where some are happy enough to know they're getting by, where some are at the very lowest when they're getting high, and others try to wake them up and open up their eyes. Where the cold streets are warming up, put the night to sleep. When I rise, wake the morning up. Put the night to sleep. When I rise, wake the morning up.
From the time I ride out to the time I'm home, I pray for a safe travel guide while I'm gone.
Every morning that I get up, wake up thankful that I wasn't set up. Blessed with another day, so I bow my head and shut up. Cause anything can happen on these streets. It don't mean I'm out of reach, cause I'm rapping over beats. Ass big, ass pop, ass pigs, ass blocks. Disrespect, ass drop. It don't matter if you have props. Enemies I have not, so I don't gotta deal with this. Been able to avoid the drama cause I kept it real with it. Disregard the negative cause all that shit is relative. Sedative with dilated, alchemist is editing. Red blows evidently, it's good to be home. A microphone, some moonshine, and I'm in the zone. It's on concrete and palm tree. Constantly we all beat. Everything I saw today determined how the song be. All around the world with this so you can say you saw me. And if you didn't know, Double S got an army like that.
Live from LA River Drive, where some are happy enough to know they're getting by, where some are at the very lowest when they're getting high, and others try to wake them up and open up their eyes. Where the cold streets are warming up, put the night to sleep. When I rise, wake the morning up. Put the night to sleep. When I rise, wake the morning up.
Okay, so stay in that kind of dream world with me for the next 30 minutes. As you can see, we've created this wonderful kind of Middle Earth for ourselves in LA where we come out on the streets and we feed each other. So I've done something kind of different. I'm really good at like answering questions. I'm not great at speaking, so I recorded all these by myself, and I kind of brought my crew with me from LA. And some of the stuff is filmed really poorly, I warn you, but that's a part of who Kogi is as well. So here's the first question. Go ahead.
After the wedding trip, then you drink food, and you tackle truck, and you love the truck.
Okay, so he said, how did you get into street food, taco trucks, and Kogi? Well, I never imagined, I was never meant to be a revolutionary. I never imagined, in many ways, when you become a part of a revolution, in many cases, your life, you don't wake up that way, or you're not born that way, and it comes to you by chance. I lived a very, I had kind of a messed up childhood and growing up, but as an adult, I lived a really straightforward life. I was a chef, and I studied, I practiced my craft, I built a family, and I did the best I could, and I moved up the ladder, and I ended up running really elaborate kitchens, and pretty much doing the best I could as a salaried employee. And then 2008 came around, and I got laid off. I really got fired, but laid off sounds better. But I got fired, and like, it was one of those things where it's one thing when you lose your job when you're young, because then you don't really care, you just go on. But I was a grown man, and I was really scared. I couldn't, I didn't know what was happening to me personally, and what was, and there was no job ahead of me to get. And in that moment of kind of despair and hopelessness, my friend called me. And I told him the story. I was like, yo, I can't get a job, man. Like, what's going on? And he was just like, don't worry about that, dude. I got a taco truck. And we're going to put Korean barbecue in the taco, and we're going to go out on the streets to the clubs, man. We're going to go to the clubs. We'll get out there. We're going to feed everybody. And I was like, all right, let's do it. I ain't got nothing else to do. So then, as we started going out on the streets, again, I had never served tacos before. I grew up around it. But I think as a kid and growing up, I'd always been very sensitive to the streets, been always very sensitive to what was happening on the streets and me being a part of it as well. And I think by going out there, it became a portal for me. The tacos, the truck, and everything became a portal for me to finally unleash and release all of that. Then we had a crew. We built this crew of all our family members and extended family members, and we went out on this mission. It was we were like the Goonies almost. It was really fantastic. And here's question number 2.
Can you tell me about your city?
That's my cousin Jay. So, I'm from LA. I don't know how many of you have been to LA. I'm sure you all heard of it. We're one of the biggest stereotyped cities in the world. You think of Hollywood, think of plastic surgery, think of Beverly Hills, think of gang life, think of skateboarding. Behind those stereotypes is culture. A lot of people think that LA doesn't have culture, but our culture is a subversive culture. It's really built on this thing that I really believe in the city, which helped to spark this movement in food, but also is we have this true freedom in Los Angeles. It's a very complicated and beautiful freedom. We have our problems too, for sure, but there's this freedom of being able to be whoever you want to be, and within that creativity, and behind, even if you take the stereotype of Hollywood, behind that stereotype of Hollywood are thousands and thousands of designers just like yourself, post-production, graphic artists, animation, and all of that bleeds and fills up the city as well. We're also a city that is extremely fresh, because there's so many immigrants coming through and so many different cultures coming through, and we don't have these long kind of cemented ideals of history built within us. Everything is up for change because so many people just arrived. So again, everything is so fresh. We're very laid back, but we created a lot of street culture out there. skateboarding, freestyle hip hop, a lot of graffiti work you see. So it's just an amazing city. From a chef angle, we have some of the best produce in the world. It's just this land of almost fertility. So that's our city, Los Angeles. Okay.
What were the early daylight?
He was so nervous doing that. Early days were beautiful, but we didn't have no money, and it was we started on at midnight, and looking back, I feel like that witching hour in which we started, it was a foggy night, really cold. I think there's something about that with Kogi. It was almost like these dots connecting. And so we started in midnight in 2008, and then we started serving this taco, which tasted like the city, but tasted like something you never tasted before, but it tasted so familiar. And then we were going in front of the clubs and selling. We were waiting for everyone to come out of the clubs. But we had this, the first month or so, we had this thing where we would just go to the clubs and feed everyone. And it was just kind of like we were just giving food away. But we had this little thing in our back pocket, and it was this little thing called Twitter, which y'all are very familiar with. But that time, Twitter was just coming out. We had nothing to do with Twitter. We have nothing to do with the company. We have nothing to do, with creating it or anything. But at the time that Kogi started, no one really knew what Twitter was or how to use it. And it wasn't, back then in 08, it wasn't like now where you could create, an app or a social media device like Snapchat or something, and it will just go out right away. Everyone will find out because we're already embedded in that system. We're already embedded in that technology. But at that time, Twitter, no one knew kind of what to do with it, except for the techies up in the Bay. So then we had this thing, and our whole mentality towards it was that it was free and that we could communicate and just throw these. We were almost like throwing these messages in a bottle out to the universe. We had no idea who was out on the other end. And so we would just throw all of our nerdy ideas and our locations, and we would be almost speaking to this empty room that we were imagining would be full. And then it created this thing in 08, and so created this thing where it ended up becoming a scavenger hunt. And we became one of the first companies to really develop a kind of an application for Twitter. So, Twitter's come a long way since then. There was this thing in the city where none of this had ever happened before, but we were pulling from these points of culture and life that were all existing around, but were existing in their own pockets. But as you go down the city, even if you imagine your city here in Cape Town, if you go down empty streets, it's not like people are just running out of their buildings to just form a line with nothing there. And that's what was happening in the early days, where we would post this Twitter and we would go to this location. Maybe it would be this weird location out by a railroad track behind an office building, behind a tree. And then we would be there, and then we'd roll up, and there would already be 600-700 people forming a line. So there was this collective intelligence going on within all of us, where in some way, we were all finding, I don't know, I think about it a lot, and I think it's like we as humans in that city, in that time, and it bled it beyond the physical. It started to go worldwide a couple months later as far as when the media and the information passed through. But I almost feel as if we were all ready to communicate in this way. We had all the DNA and all the information plugged in within us, and it just took this weird, beat-up taco truck with the Twitter app to pull us together, and we knew exactly what to do because, again, if you take these empty streets, if we go out like midnight, 1 a.m. here in Cape Town, in just an empty warehouse district, and then if all of us, this whole room, we ended up there and we formed a line together and collectively created this environment and this flash mob together in this community. It's almost like we understood code. We understood this ancient kind of code and way of speaking to each other. So those were the early days. Go ahead.
So tell me, how do you communicate
So she asked, how do you communicate in the absence of words? Words are kind of weird for me. I'm a chef, so it's like, for me, words are usually in a direct format where I'm giving a direct order. Most of my conversation and most of my life is filled in a world where I don't share words too much. As you see through a lot of the people in my crew, a lot of people in my crew don't come from America. English is not their first language, and then for me, as a cook, that's really the way that I express myself. So to me, I communicate, to me, cooking is nurturing. There has to be more than just, I think, the brain and the words to share information. And to me, it's nurturing. It's like rain to the soil. It's like photosynthesis to life. The reason why I believe that is because when we go back to the early days and even now, we were moving whole crowds. We were moving whole neighborhoods and people and environments without using really any words. And then the words that we were using were very short words through Twitter. And then once we got to the locations, we weren't using words to communicate this new thing that was happening to us. We were just feeding each other, and we were just going by smell and feel. And through that, I don't know, there was some truth that was shared and some curiosity.
Why do you speak and why do you speak and think in hyperbole? Again?
That homie straight LA right there. If you want to know our slang or how we act or how we are, young homies, he's straight LA. Why do I speak and think in hyperbole? Man, I say some wild shit, but I say it because I see it, and I dream it. But then I look around in reality and I see that, my physical life is not there yet. And so I dream these things of, in the last 6 years, they've progressed from just filling street corners and filling stomachs and just seeing thousands of people out there and having this drive that we could feed this whole room of all of you, with just the food in my pocket, So in order to do that, I had to create and think and speak in hyperbole, almost like, Ali the Foreman, like just mind-tricking the universe. And we could get ourselves to create this pathway to feed. Now that's grown in the 6 years, it's grown to a bigger kind of social justice thing for me where, I'm still trying to figure it out, but where that mentality of just feeding a street corner is now growing into trying to feed whole neighborhoods and communities and inner cities and schools and hospitals and prisons. There's so much red tape in between that. There's so many people, there's so much energy to not believe or just to accept status quo. So what I do is I create these kind of dream worlds where, we're all feeding each other like it's Valentine's Day, or something, and I try to populate that in my mind and then populate that in reality. So I push it, I challenge it, I put both middle fingers up to status quo and I attack it. And then through that attack, I start to pull this kind of dream world into reality. And these visions, they're so strong. I know you guys are all creatives here, so you can relate, but it's just, there's these parallel universes that I pull in. And so the only way that I can do that is by speaking and almost taunting them to come out, almost like ghosts. A lot of people misinterpret that. Sometimes in the media, I get labeled as too idealistic or that I'm just rambling on or talking, or sometimes that I'm some wannabe gangster or anything like that. But that's not the case, And I'm telling you guys as a creative that it's really just kind of coaxing it out of my dream world. Okay. What have you seen
What have you seen
regarding minority cultures
regarding minority countries
and their influence
and their influence
on design?
on design?
What have I seen with minority cultures? I'm a minority in the country that I hold a passport in, but that's only through the government and through census numbers. The way I look at it is, and for me, with what Kogi has done, is a lot of the stuff that we come with as far as a lot of the way that we express ourselves in the culture in which we live because we're not the dominant culture, or maybe because our language is not the first language, or we come from parents that are from other countries, or we immigrated ourselves. A lot of the things that we share amongst each other are very nuanced. You know, they can't always be explained through language. They have to just be embraced and lived. In America, a lot of minorities, we're placed in this weird cycle of believing this prophecy of feeling like we're less than we are, that we're told to be less than we are, that we can't express ourselves fully, that our culture will not be the one to influence society in a way. But really it is, you know, it's our food, it's our style, it's our habits, it's the struggle, it's our design, you see it all over, but it's just packaged and turned into something on a bigger level in commerce, but everything through hip-hop, through blogging, through the food that we cook, all the economy, the schools, the education, the entrepreneurship, the hustle, our style, our street art, our cars, low-riding culture, all these things are things that really have shaped American culture. But we're convinced to believe that in some way we have to keep those kind of hidden. And so what Kogi did was it just let those marbles fall on the table, and everyone experienced them on their own way. Okay.
How do you flip stereotypes and reshape experiences?
Thank you. I'm aggressively peaceful. I'll say that again. I'm aggressively peaceful. I'm a warrior towards peace. You know, and I do it in this I don't know if vacuum is the right word, but I do it in this bubble of not believing anything that I see or hear or people tell me, you know. And then what I do is I kind of create this, I guess, idyllic world of feeding each other, of going out of our way for each other, of being hospitable to each other, of caring for each other, and then I try to translate that, you know, and I try to translate that and try to not only translate that myself, but through the 300 or 400 employees that I have, through the thousands of people that we feed every day, and then it just becomes this kind of this weird, trippy chain letter, you know. And then through that translation comes this new life. And what I mean by that specifically is, I can give you a quick example. Before Kogi, you know, Kogi really, we represent the spirit and the culture of the loncheros. And loncheras are taco trucks, and catering trucks all throughout the Latino community. We represent street food all throughout the world. We represent the rhythm of street food, but we put it in a new form. You know, we're like the children of it, you know, and we put it with technology. But before Kogi happened, everyone was calling taco trucks roach coaches. And I don't know, I mean, you know, that's a slang in America, but obviously it rhymes. But like, you know, that's some fucked up shit, man. That's like, that's horrible. You know, that's like, just because the truck is a truck, and just because there's some brown faces inside, that automatically you label it as being infested with roaches, that is dirty, and that how could you know, there's no way you should feed your children this, you shouldn't come close to it, it's going to infect you, and now they're gourmet, you know. They're gourmet, and, you know, and it's just like, so, you know, and so that's what I mean by, like, what we do. We don't lecture. We don't create some sort of soapbox. We just do, and we just be ourselves, and we put just style behind it, and attitude, and just flavor, you know. And then through that, what happens is it changes the whole way of looking at things. That word roach coach will hardly ever be used again in society, you know. And that's a big thing. That's one first step. Another one is taking a town where I'm from, Koreatown, which again people used to just drive through, you know, and be like, lock the doors, don't go through, don't get out, it's dirty, or it would be this exotic thing, or, you know, you get your you know, whatever, you know, you just get drunk there, or get your girls there, or whatever, you know. It's just this thing that people would drive through to get to their other spot. Now it's like, you know, through this hotel that we created and this food that we created and just sharing the culture of being Korean, you know, it's become kind of a driver of design and kind of a leader in the city. And it's the hottest neighborhood in LA right now. You know, another big thing that we did was in a restaurant that I have, we were kind of the first ones to really put strangers together. And I don't mean communal. I mean like straight up strangers together. Like if you were on a date, we'd put you at a table with like another date, and you guys didn't know each other. But then by the end of that, like y'all would be friends, and you share food, and you get to know each other. So we created this environment where, you know, I really imagined this world where we didn't, when we go to a restaurant, that we didn't have these divisions amongst each other. So try to create a restaurant space where everyone just sat together in a communal way, but just in these, we would just put you together randomly. And now that's become kind of the norm of eating. What I'm thinking of now is just poverty. I've been thinking about poverty a lot, poverty to prosperity, and just flipping those things, flipping that on its head. And the biggest thing is that helps me with that is the Roach Coach. Hey, what's up?
How do you trust your instincts?
In an environment that convinces you not to.
Yay. How do I trust my instincts? Man, like Kogi's become big, and so like investors have been approaching us. Man, they've been coming at us, you know, like in the club, like we were hot in the club, man, like just lining up. We're fiercely independent right now, but like they love us for everything we do, but then they tell us we'll never succeed. And everyone tells us that, you know, like the way we do things is, again, too idealistic, it's not gonna work. And for me, I just trust my instincts in that. I trust my instincts in being able, in seeing that we were able to convince others to congregate together and continue to congregate together and believe in this mission, you know.
What happened in LA and now the world through food trucks?
Thank you. You know, food trucks have gone worldwide. We've opened palates and souls, and we've shown a new way to eat with each other. To me, this has been a gateway. I'm not a designer like you all, but to me, it's a social design. It's a way that I'm able to kind of put people together on the street and mix it up, and it changes every day. How does this window is a window to feeding hunger and changing communities? That's a big one. It's affordability, it's honesty, it's the imperfectness, you know, it's the fluidity of who we are. We run on 4 wheels, we go around, there's no place that we ever stop. It's a model that you could talk to some of your truck vendors here in the city. It's a model that is so easy to enter. It's a new small business model of entrepreneurship, you know, and it's just this way of living life where it's almost like we're living a picnic every day.
What is Kogi por vida?
Kogi por vida. Kogi por vida is a spirit. It's a spirit animal. It's who we are. It's a belief in each other collectively. It's a bond that we've created amongst each other in Los Angeles. To me, it's a blueprint for change that I'm focusing and turning into something else. It's a family. It's a trust amongst each other. And sometimes a city and a world where we tend to just gravitate towards not trusting each other. It's also a food and a style and a commitment.
What does your food taste like?
That's Eric. Eric took all the pictures that you saw earlier. My food tastes, it's really acidic. It's spicy. It's messy. It tastes like it looks, you know, like all messed up, comforting, and it's challenging. It mixes cultures together. You can't connect to where it's coming from, but then you can feel where it's coming from. It's extremely floral. It tastes like LA. It tastes like something you've had before, again, like I spoke about, but it tastes completely new. I think it's really courageous, the food that we do, and it also feels a lot like, kind of like a grandma cooking for you.
It's bringing
People together.
through the social,
Through food.
through food social design.
Is it a social design?
Yeah, it's a social design.
I don't know. I think it is. I think it's a social design. You know, I've been watching you guys speak, and I see the, you know, chairs and furniture and buildings, and I believe that it's all within that. I believe it's just a human design. It's a way of structuring an architecture and a blueprint within each other, and the food is that glue together.
Can a business be successful and profitable, built on compassion and honesty?
I believe so. I hardly ever look at the books. I'm supposed to look at the books, but I never look at the books hardly. We undercharge and overpay our staff and undercharge our guests. I give so much free food away. Like my team is like it's one of those things. Like if they see me roll up, they hide stuff because like I'll give all that food away. You know, we never cut corners. We never jeopardize things. We're very honest in what we do. You know, the way that we run Kogi in many ways, you know, it should fail. It should have been done by now, but it's not. It's stronger than ever. It's thriving.
What is local?
I'll end with this video coming up. Local is, all these things that I've been talking about has kind of led me to what local is. And local is this new project that I'm involved with Chef Daniel Patterson. I don't know, like as you see through a lot of the stuff that we do in Kogi, we're very independent, underground. We're still in Los Angeles. Our brand is global and worldwide, but it's a reflection a little bit on who we are and who I am. You know, we're still real low key. We keep to ourselves, but I'm at this point now where I'm ready to see what's beyond and to try to feed more people. And so local is our attempt to really flip fast food on its head, you know, and really go up against McDonald's and Burger King and all of these KFC and all of these people that are poisoning our communities. And you know. You know, and so all of this, I really wanted to end with this because as you start to come out of this dream world, for me it seems really, you know, for me to tell you this, in a real world it seems really impossible because there are these huge conglomerates. How do we even start? But to me in this dream world, I've already created it. And so now all I gotta do is just antagonize it a little bit. So this, I'm gonna end with the video of Local, and I'll say goodbye after.
Fast food wasn't always what it is today. I don't know necessarily that fast food companies don't want to put out a better product. I don't think they're able.
The people who are feeding the most amount of people are not thinking as chefs. In a punk rock way, Local is like saying, I don't agree. We're joining the party. And we're going to take this and we're going to look at what y'all been doing. And we're going to infiltrate. Local is a fast food restaurant run by the best chefs in the world and the brightest minds in technology from California. Merging of those two together with the spirit and the soul of a grandmother to try to take care and feed everyone. Make it affordable, but also make it delicious. Real cooking principles. Create a new co-op economy to work with farmers and use technology to create apps and to try to use a lot of the supply chain and redirect it and use that food to make great food to serve to the community.
One of the things we keep hearing over and over is, it's impossible, you can't do it. Well, how would you know? No one's tried.
The moment that I shot the words of Local out to the world with Daniel, what it did was it touched a tender spot, you know. It touched a truthful spot of us seeing a possibility of having better fast food. Local is not just a fast food restaurant, it's a fast food restaurant that's being built by Daniel Patterson, Renee from Noma, Chad from Tartine, myself. But then I don't want anyone to know that if you don't need to know that. 90% of the people, maybe even 100% of the people, I have no idea who the fuck Daniel Patterson is or I am or Renee is. But that doesn't mean that they can't have great food. And that doesn't mean they have to know us to have great food. I trust the intelligence of the public, you know, and I trust the fact that if you're giving quality and you're giving earnestness, they're gonna notice it right away.
As we're learning more and more about how to feed a lot of people really inexpensively, is we can start to develop some ideas around how can we adapt this to institutional eating? What about hospitals? What about prisons? Like, if we're gonna really, really learn about how to change supply lines, about how to work really efficiently, how to make delicious food for a lot of people, maybe we can use that knowledge and bring it to other areas. So one of the things that we thought about Indiegogo was so many people wanted to do something, anything, and it was a way to start building a community, and it's a way for people to participate on a very low level, but feel like, you know, they are part of it and it's their thing, that they're proud of it.
But I just want you to be a part of this revolution. If you invest in it, that helps us do it. You know, it helps us continue and it puts momentum behind this vision and this action. If you know anything about me, you know I'm gonna honor that. And you know I'm gonna come through 100 on it. That's all I care about.
In a way, all roads have led me to this, and I find myself another fork in the road of another revolution, from street food to now trying to feed every street. And I may be back in South Africa. We'll bring local here to South Africa, you know. You know, the big thing is, what I'll leave you with is that, you know, we got a lot of messed up things, man, in this world, but like food is one way, is a gateway where we can really communicate with each other on a deeper level. You know, whether it's through education, whether it's through budget cuts, whether it's through schools and funding. If you start with feeding people and not feeding people corrosive waste and chemicals and really nurturing them, then from there, we can start growing a whole nother civilization. Peace, y'all.